Talking Toffee is proudly in association with www.efcfeelingblue.com.
Okay, so I'm joined with Bob Latchford here, Everton legend, on behalf of EFCFeelingBlue.com and Talking Toffee. Bob, first of all, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and it's an absolute honour to speak to you. I know my dad will be a little bit jealous as you're one of his heroes. So, first of all, I'll start with a nice, easy question. Yep. What was your favourite Everton goal?
Favourite Everton goal? It's always a little bit difficult because there's a number of goals that sort of stand out. Obviously, my first goal for Everton is always important. And then there was a couple of cup goals, semi-final against Bolton, League Cup goal against Bolton at Bolton, and a header, and then the header up at Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final against West Ham to equalise there. But I suppose the one goal that sort of edges all those goals out is probably my 30th goal against Chelsea for
the penalty.
Yeah, the penalty. So even though it's not a penalty, is a penalty, I suppose, but the other goals had a little bit more about them in terms of the build-up and the technique in scoring. I think it's the significance of that goal which really puts it edges out all the other goals.
Right, okay, great. And who's the best player that you've played with then at Everton? I mean, obviously your class is one of the greats, but in terms of your teammates, who was the best?
Well, there are a number of very good players, obviously. Duncan McKenzie, Martin Dobson, terrific player. Mickey Lyons, who I said earlier tonight, was a much better player than a lot of people gave him credit for. Mickey Pejic was, decent fullback. So we had a number of very good players, but I suppose the one that stands out for me is Dave Thomas. He was just terrific winger. He's a terrific man anyway.
Right.
Lovely man. He had the two best feet you would ever want as a footballer. And I always give the analogy of Glenn Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle was a terrific footballer, two very, very good feet. But Glenn used to just stroll around, had no pace, but Tyser could do everything Glenn could do, but at pace. He could deliver the ball on a sixpence for you.
Great stuff.
Yeah, terrific.
Okay, so obviously, with the ability that you had as a footballer, I was intrigued to know who your influence was as a kid growing up. Which footballers did you look up to and aspire to?
Well, funny enough, Dennis Law, Man United.
Right.
I think partly he was always like Johnny on the spot, always there, getting those little tap-ins. But you've got to get there and be there. It just wasn't coincidence that he used to get all these little tap-ins and be there. You've really got to make decisions within the box where you think the ball's going to come. And he was very good at being in the right position at the right time. And I thought, that looks good. I wouldn't mind, doing things like that, doing something like that.
Right. Okay. Great. And I mean, I saw a picture today on the internet when I was doing my research, as any good journalist should do. And it's quite an iconic picture. I think it's a picture of you on your first day at Everton chatting with Dixie Dean.
Oh, Dixie, yeah.
Yeah. Now I was looking at that picture and I was thinking, wow, talking to somebody as iconic as Dixie Dean within Everton Football Club. How did that conversation go? What did you talk about?
To be honest, I can't remember too much about the conversation, other than the fact that I had one or two conversations with Dixie, and he was such a gentleman. The inscription on that statue.
Yeah.
A footballer, an Evertonian, a gentleman, or is it the other way around? I'm
right.
not quite sure.
Yeah.
That just really, that was him. He was such a lovely man, and just didn't really offer me any advice. He really just made me aware of what I was coming into.
Okay.
Lovely man, and for me, he is the one true icon of Everton Football Club, and he's the standard bearer for all centre forwards.
Yeah.
And I think he always will be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, his record was just untouchable. So, Do you wish you'd have stayed at Everton longer? You did answer this earlier when we've been down here with the Stafford Evertonians and they were chatting, and this was one of the questions. So do you wish you'd have stayed at the club a little bit longer?
It's one of those things with hindsight. Maybe it may have been a better decision not to have left, but I made the decision in all good faith before Howard took over.
Right.
I always made decisions and stuck by them, for good or bad. So I wasn't going to change my mind. I said to Howard, because Howard wanted me to stay for a year. I just didn't think another year would bring the best out of me. I needed something fresh.
Yeah.
If you'd offered me a 3-year contract or something, I may have thought about it. But but no. So yeah, I made that decision. As I said before he arrived, I stuck by it, and with hindsight, I could go back and think about one or two other decisions that I'd made, which may have been better for me.
Yeah.
Because I could have gone to Villa before I went to Swansea.
Right.
Back in 1980.
Yeah.
I could have gone to Villa, but being a Birmingham boy, I thought there's no way I can play for
That's
Aston
a tricky
Villa.
one, isn't it?
But Peter Withe went there, and they ended up winning the league and the European Cup.
Okay.
So
that's a wonderful thing, as we were saying.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Hindsight. You make decisions in life, you have to live with them.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that on behalf of all Evertonians, the stuff that I've heard, I'm a little bit too young to have seen you play, unfortunately. But I think everyone's just in awe and appreciation with the service that you gave to the football club. And
well, as I said, I'm always amazed by the passion and the enthusiasm that Evertonians give to ex-players. It always amazes me. So it's a two-way thing. And the fans give everything, and it's just inspires you to give them as much as possible as well.
Right. So, in that respect, if we just turn to the modern day game, there's a lot of criticism aimed at footballers now for maybe not having that cohesion with the supporters. How do you feel that you'd have got on in today's game? As a centre forward at Everton in 2013, how would you have got on?
I think I still would be scoring goals.
I like it.
I probably would be probably more athletic and probably stronger, and maybe taller, because obviously each generation gets a little bit stronger and taller anyway, and they all have, that's just a natural progression. So I think I would have scored goals.
Yeah.
Still,
definitely. I agree.
It would be nice, actually.
Right.
I can't turn the clock back.
No. I'm sure I agree with you. I'm sure you'd have done terrifically well. And to be honest with you, there's some occasions last season when we could have done with Bob Latchford playing up top. But it's on this note, then, as you've got an authority on centre forwards and strikers, who's the best striker in the world today?
Best striker in the world today? Well, you have to go with Messi. He's picked up the last 4 awards for the best player in the world, and you're not going to get that if you're not doing it.
True.
Ronaldo is running him close. He's performed really well, and continues to perform really well. There's one or two others around, but those two really stand out by themselves at the moment. Neymar is an absolute talent.
Victor Anachibi.
Yeah.
Big Vic.
Big Vic. Yeah. But there's some talented strikers out there, but those two really stand out from the pack at the moment, and I think they'll continue to dominate for the next few years. I agree. Okay, then, so on to modern day Everton again. Martinez, you've been impressed what you've seen so far? From what I've heard, actually, from various people, he comes across as a very positive person, and he's saying the right things. As I said earlier, he's got the players on board with him. They're into what he's saying, and as long as he keeps the players with him, he'll do an half-decent job. Because it's so important for the manager to have the players on board with his ideas and what he wants. Pre-season has all been plays a more open passing game than Moisey did. So I expect maybe they'll win more games, but they could lose more games.
Okay.
But it's just a case of let's hope they win more games than they lose. That's the main thing.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We've just got a bit of. I think a few of your adoring fans are here now.
Yeah, I know.
Just give us a second if you would, sir. Okay, cool. Just give us a second if that's all right, sir. All right. So, one of the massive questions in amongst Evertonians this season has been about Jelavic and the fact that he hasn't performed too well.
Yes.
What, as a great centre forward like yourself, what's the reason for that?
It's very hard to give you any one reason why strikers suddenly go off the boil. We've all done it. We've all had periods where maybe apart from Ronaldo and Messi maybe, but the run of the mill, us lesser mortals, you go through periods where nothing seems to go quite right, and you may be. It's a confidence thing. If you stop believing that you're going to score, you won't score. So it boils down to a confidence and belief in many respects. And if you stop doing the things that you naturally do to get into position to score, you're never going to score. So it's a case of you've got to believe and still try and do the things you were doing and keep getting yourself into positions to score. Then hopefully you'll just bundle one in.
Yeah.
And that will release that pressure that's built up by not scoring regularly. And you get out of that bad patch. But it really is a case of you just got to keep believing in the fact that what you were doing to score goals is the right thing, and you got to keep doing it. Keep doing it and put yourself in a position to score, and not shy away from that, and not do it, because if you don't do those things, you're not going to score. You're just going to get worse.
Yeah, true. And in the case of Nikita Jelavic last season, I mean, he was moved out to the right a little bit. That was a bit of a gripe from Evertonians. You've seen a bit of a transition between him and the season before that.
Right,
but before your adoring fans come back, I think they want a game of football with you. One of them plays for Stoke City Girls, apparently. So, mind how you go with that one, Bob. Just one last question. You mentioned to the Stafford Evertonians today about how special the connection was between the supporters and previous players. I hear a lot of former players say this about Everton, and it's fantastic as an Evertonian. I'm sure all Evertonians will agree. What makes Everton so special to you?
It really is just the passion, and I think that they love their history, and they keep their history alive of the club through their families, through their sons, their daughters, into the next generations. They school them in not only the new players, but the older players as well. And so it lives on. And they're passing down the history of the club. Which it really, that's what it's all about. It's about the club and the history of the club and the fans' relationship to the club with the players. We as players are employed by the club in a certain period of time. And we do things. The fans are always going to be supporting that club, and the club is always going to be there. So that's the relationship. The players come into it, but they come into it for a very short period of time over the years. But it is such passion and devotion that they have for not only the current players but the ex-players. And as I said tonight, it always amazes me when I come to functions and the enthusiasm and passion, and they just want to know things and know everything.
Great.
So it's great. Yeah, it's great. It gives you a lift as well. A little bit of a buzz, which the last time I experienced things like that with when I was playing, sort of thing. So it's nice to come back and have that little bit of experience again, a little bit of buzz and excitement.
Of course. All right, thanks for your time, Bob. Really appreciate it on behalf of VFC Feeling Blue. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay.
Ta-ra.